Have you ever felt trapped inside your own mind? Thoughts swirling endlessly, memories, regrets, fears, all demanding your attention at once. You try to silence them, but they grow louder. You try to reason with them, but they twist and turn until you begin to doubt yourself. In a world filled with noise, notifications, opinions, expectations, your mind becomes the loudest battlefield. And most days the war isn't out there, it's in here, inside your head. But what if there was a way to find stillness? Not by escaping the world, but by mastering the way you think about it. More than 2,000 years ago, a group of philosophers in ancient Greece and Rome faced the same struggle. They lived through war, loss, and betrayal. Yet in the middle of chaos, they discovered peace. Not because life was easy, but because they learned the art of controlling their mind. Their philosophy was simple, but powerful. It's called Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled armies and empires, once wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That sentence became a compass, guiding countless people through anxiety, pain, and despair. So today, we'll walk through 7 timeless Stoic lessons that can help you free yourself from negative thoughts and reclaim your inner calm. Because peace isn't found when life stops being hard. It's found when your mind stops making it harder. Lesson 1. Control the controllable. Every day, your mind wrestles with things beyond your reach. You worry about what people think of you. You replay conversations, imagining better versions. You plan the perfect future and fear the worst outcome. But the Stoics discovered a truth most of us forget. Not everything deserves your worry. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, taught what he called the dichotomy of control. He said, "Some things are within our control and some are not." It sounds simple, but it changes everything. You can't control the weather, but you can control your reaction to it. You can't control the behavior of others, but you can control your response. You can't control outcomes, but you can control your effort. Once you divide your thoughts this way, something powerful happens. You stop fighting reality. You stop chasing what can't be caught. And in that moment, negativity loses its fuel. Imagine carrying 2 bags everywhere you go. One filled with things you can control and the other with things you can't. Every time you think about the second bag, what others said, what might go wrong, what you can't change, your back bends, your steps slow, your spirit sinks. But when you drop that bag, even for a moment, you stand taller. You breathe easier. You begin to see clearly again. The Stoics didn't teach us to be indifferent to life. They taught us to be wise in where we place our energy. Because when you stop trying to control what you can't, you gain absolute power over what you can. Your thoughts, your choices, your peace. It's not what happens to you, Epictetus said, but how you react to it that matters. And that is the first step to mastering your mind, to control the controllable and let go of the rest. Lesson 2. Pause before you react. Have you ever noticed how quickly the mind reacts? Someone criticizes you, and instantly anger rises. A plan fails, and frustration takes over. A friend disappoints you, and your thoughts explode into stories that may not even be true. The Stoics understood this dangerous reflex well. They knew that between stimulus and response there exists a sacred space, a pause, and in that pause lies your freedom. Seneca, one of Rome's greatest Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is more harmful than the injury that provokes it." He wasn't warning against emotion, he was teaching mastery over it. Imagine a flame. If you touch it without thought, it burns you. But if you wait, if you observe, if you understand its nature, you can use it for warmth, for light, even for creation. Your thoughts work the same way. When you pause before reacting, you begin to see your emotions as signals, not commands. A harsh comment becomes an opportunity to practice patience. A mistake becomes a teacher. A delay becomes a moment to breathe. Modern life conditions us to respond instantly, to messages, to stress, to conflict. But the Stoic mind moves slowly, deliberately. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about seeing them clearly before they control you. So the next time anger rises or fear takes hold, take a breath. Don't speak. Don't act. Just notice. That pause, that single heartbeat of silence, is where wisdom begins. Because the wise are not those who never feel anger. They are those who no longer become it. No man is free who is not master of himself, said Epictetus. And the first act of mastery is learning to pause. Lesson 3. Practice emotional detachment, dispassion. Now that you've learned to pause, the next step is learning to detach. Not from life, not from love, but from the illusions of control and permanence that feed your negative thoughts. The Stoics called it apatheia, not apathy as we understand it today, but clarity of the soul. It means seeing events for what they are without being swept away by emotion or judgment. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself during the darkest years of his reign, said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you will not feel harmed." At first, that sounds impossible. How can we not be hurt by loss, betrayal, or failure? But what Marcus meant was deeper. Pain exists, but suffering is a choice we add to it. You lose something, and that's pain. You keep replaying it, feeding it with stories. That's suffering. You're insulted, that's pain. You carry that insult with you for weeks. That's suffering. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means understanding that events are neutral until you label them. The Stoic mind observes emotions the way a sailor watches the sea, acknowledging the waves but never becoming one of them. Think of a moment when someone hurt you deeply. You replayed it in your mind over and over, like a movie you couldn't stop watching. But imagine watching that same scene from a distance, as if it were happening to someone else. You begin to see not pain, but perspective, not tragedy, but teaching. This is emotional detachment, the ability to stand in the middle of a storm and remain untouched by its wind. The world may shake, but your foundation stays unmoved because you understand that no thought, no event, no insult can truly harm your mind unless you grant it permission. So practice dispassion. Let emotions pass through you like wind through an open window. Feel them, but do not cling to them. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. That power is freedom. Lesson 4. Accept impermanence and change. Everything changes. That's the one truth we try hardest to resist, and the one truth we cannot escape. The people you love will grow old. The things you value will fade. The moments you cherish will eventually become memories, and yet we spend our lives clinging, holding on to what must, by nature, move on. We suffer not because life is cruel, but because we demand that it stay the same. The Stoics saw this clearly. They believed peace begins when you stop fighting with time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change, life is opinion. Everything around you is in motion, the trees, the seasons, even your thoughts. Nothing stays, and that's not a tragedy, it's the very rhythm of existence. When you accept impermanence, something inside you softens. You stop resisting what you cannot freeze. You stop demanding that people never leave, that success never fades, that beauty never dims. You begin to understand loss is not the enemy, attachment is." Think of how the Stoics practiced this acceptance. They would remind themselves that every meal could be their last, every sunset could be the final one they see, every friend could be taken tomorrow, not to create fear, but to deepen gratitude. Because when you truly understand that everything changes, you stop taking anything for granted. The coffee in your hand, the voice of someone you love, the quiet moment before sleep, they become sacred because you see them clearly, as gifts that were never yours to keep. To accept impermanence is to live fully in the present, not in longing, not in fear, but in reverence. The Stoics taught us that nothing outside ourselves truly belongs to us. Not possessions, not praise, not people. And when you release your grip, you don't lose life, you finally touch it. Lesson 5. Practice gratitude. Daily negativity thrives where gratitude is absent because the mind, left unchecked, hunts for what's missing instead of what's already here. The Stoics knew this well. They trained their minds to notice abundance, not lack, not through blind optimism, but through perspective. Seneca once wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." In every hardship, he looked for a reason to be thankful. In every loss, he searched for what remained. This wasn't denial. It was discipline, a conscious redirection of thought toward appreciation. You can practice the same. Each morning, before your mind begins its daily race, pause. Think of 3 things you already have that others might pray for. Your health, your senses, your freedom to choose. Gratitude doesn't erase pain. It reframes it. It reminds you that even in darkness, light exists. The Stoics used a technique called negative visualization. They would imagine losing the things they loved, their home, their status, their family, not to dwell in sadness, but to awaken appreciation. Because when you imagine life without something, you begin to truly see its value. Try it now. Picture one thing you take for granted, maybe your morning coffee or the quiet safety of your home. Now imagine it gone. What do you feel? That subtle warmth in your chest. That's gratitude. That's awareness. When you practice this daily, your mind shifts. Complaints turn into thankfulness. Frustration turns into perspective. The world doesn't change, your lens does. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's armor. It protects you from negativity by reminding you that life, even with its storms, is still a miracle worth living. Lesson 6. Build inner resilience. Every storm you've survived has shaped you. Every loss, every rejection, every heartbreak, each one carved strength into your soul. And yet, when pain arrives, we still ask, why me? The Stoics would answer gently, why not you? To them, adversity wasn't punishment, it was training, a sculptor shaping character, a forge refining the soul. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, words meant only for himself. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When something blocks your path, it's not the end. It's an invitation to evolve. Every challenge carries 2 paths, resentment or resilience. One weakens the spirit, the other awakens it. Think of the strongest people you know. They didn't find strength in comfort. They found it in chaos. They found it in the moments that tried to break them, but didn't. Stoicism teaches that we don't control events like we control our interpretation. A setback is just information. A loss is just a lesson. An insult is just noise. The Stoic doesn't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, how can this serve me? That shift in question transforms pain into purpose. Imagine a fire burning in a cold night. Throw water on it. It hisses, but survives. Throw wood. It grows. That's the Stoic mind, unbreakable, adaptable, unshaken. Fire tests gold and adversity tests brave men, said Seneca. So when life burns you, don't curse the flame. Feed it. Let it strengthen you, purify you, and reveal the gold hidden beneath your fear. Resilience isn't about never falling. It's about knowing how to rise with grace. Lesson 7. Live according to your values. When the world feels chaotic and your thoughts spiral, there's one compass that always points north: your values. The Stoics believed that peace doesn't come from comfort or control, but from virtue, living in harmony with your highest self. They defined 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Every decision, every reaction, every word should align with these. Wisdom, to see clearly. Courage, to act rightly, even when afraid. Justice, to treat others with fairness. Temperance, to restrain desires and remain balanced. When you live by these values, life's chaos loses its power over you, because you no longer seek approval, you seek integrity. You no longer chase outcomes, you chase what's right. A person who acts from virtue cannot be disturbed by the noise of others. Their peace comes from within, untouched, unbothered, unwavering. Imagine living each day asking not, "What will happen?" but "What would a wise person do here?" That question alone dissolves confusion and fear. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. When you align your actions with your principles, negative thoughts lose their ground because your life becomes proof of your clarity. The world may tempt you with comparison, fear, and desire, but when you live according to your values, you become untouchable, calm, grounded, free." The calm within you began this journey surrounded by noise, the endless chatter of the mind, the constant weight of negative thoughts. But through Stoicism, you've learned something profound. Peace is not found by controlling the world, but by controlling how you see the world. You can't stop the storm, but you can stop it from entering your mind. You can't silence every critic, but you can choose whose voice truly matters. You can't escape pain, but you can walk through it with dignity and calm. Marcus Aurelius, after facing wars, betrayal, and loss, wrote one final truth to himself. A truth that still echoes across centuries. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, and now that wisdom belongs to you. You've learned to control what you can, to pause before reacting, to detach from illusions, to accept change, to live with gratitude, to rise through resilience, and to walk in virtue. This is what it means to master your mind, not to erase negativity, but to meet it with wisdom and let it pass through you untouched. Because the mind, when trained by Stoic thought, is not a battlefield anymore. It becomes a sanctuary, as a quiet, unshakable space where nothing outside can ever truly disturb the calm within.